What up, everybody? Thanks for joining in for another episode of Run It Back, where we highlight those individuals that was great for the city of Waterbury, that did their thing on the basketball court and left their imprint on the hardwood.
I'm up early, trying to beat the sun up, grinding hard for mine to see a meal before my sun's up. All I'm saying is I'm trying to get my funds up. Gotta stay strapped in case these niggas try to run away. Look.
So, we gave kind of like a brief introduction, but this week we're going to be highlighting Mr. Kelvin Davis from Sacred Heart High School out of Waterbury, Connecticut, and we're about to chop it up and have some good time and some good talks. All right?
Absolutely.
Without further ado, Mr. Cal, what's up, man? How you doing, baby?
Doing good, brother. How you doing?
All right. So, I usually start off with a lot of guests that come up here, just kind of like an introduction to you. When did the basketball scene start for you? Or even if before, you know what I'm saying, what was your beginning like?
My beginning was, if you're from Waterbury and in our inner city, it's recreational basketball. Grew up in Northern Rec Center, Southern Rec Center. And we had good influence such as Victor Cuevas, we had Ralph DeGroat, Darius Butler, Willie White. So we had a couple strong men that helped a lot of young kids out in the inner city. And so that started in the recreation center for me.
Okay. So what would you say that age group was when you first picked up the basketball?
I grew up in a sports house. My brothers, loved basketball and sports, so I grew up watching the Fab Five, UNLV, Jordan, everybody you could possibly name in the early 90s that kind of could influence you.
Mm-hmm.
And then so, you would go outside and play in the parks and stuff like that, so I'll probably say around 6, 7 years old.
6, 7?
Yes.
So now, for our viewers, you pretty much, because it's a lot of you guys in your family. Like, you come from kind of like a basketball family. You got cousins and, y'all pretty vast in the city. So was there any pressure early on? Or was it something that you saw one of the others do? Was like, I got to do that? Or, what was that like in the beginning for you?
It was basketball is predominantly the main sport. So, just watching my brothers as a young age, looking at the Wilby Wildcats at the time, it was Marcus Robinson, Devon Parker, Damian Manning. Just watching my brother and seeing all the good accolades and good players. My neighbor was, one of the best to play the game. Edmund Saunders too, as well in Waterbury.
Okay.
Yes. Then you had a lot of players that came through the city that was really good. Mike Sanders, I grew up watching him too as well. And so in the early 90s and everything, it was so many players I could possibly name that influenced me. So, Waterbury had a lot of great players that kind of molded a lot of players that we talk to and think about today.
Right. And, for you guys that follow, the show, what I'm saying, some of the names that he's mentioned have been, sat in that same seat. So, you're in good company. You know what I mean?
Thanks, man. A lot of those guys.
You're in good company.
I'm just happy to be in the building, that's all.
Yes. So, okay, so now you started about 6, 7 years old. Now, were you playing in any leagues or just all like street ball, the rec?
It was street ball, the rec. I think I got my first, my first gig, as it says, a young kid playing Pro Street for Hubie.
Ooh.
And we used to play in, Chase Park House,
Montauk
Park. And it's not like the days where they had the old school Pro Street where, guys from all over used to come and play. But it was still competitive to me at a young age.
So, the thing is, too, even before they, because I'm kind of like, maybe like an era or two before you, but even still, around that time, you couldn't say you played ball if you didn't play in Pro Street.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So, if you played in any other league, if you ain't playing Pro Street, you ain't really, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you had to make your mark in Pro Street.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? That's,
Absolutely.
That's that league in Waterbury that, even if we wasn't drawing people from out of town, but as we know, Pro Street back in the day was known for, people from all over coming, you know what I'm saying? But the league had pretty much died down a little bit, as the years progressed. Yeah. But still, you had to be serious in the city itself, you know what I'm saying, to be playing in Pro Street. You know what I'm saying? So you kind of like, got your stripes in Pro Street.
Yeah, absolutely. Young age, I used to hear about the stories about, Mo Williamson, Phil Lye, Connie Hawkins, all those great players that used to come through and play ball at the Pro Street. I used to hear about. So, playing in it at a young age, I didn't know any better, but it was I just wanted to get my foot in the door to play basketball. Mm-hmm. And when we were younger, you went from park to park, play basketball just to get better. and play with other people from around the town.
Facts. Now, growing up, when you're before, so this is still kind of like kid years, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Would you say your competition level, like, was there any of your peers that followed you around then to maybe like the middle school level?
It was hard because, you know, when you're younger, you're not worrying about your peers. You're worrying about playing against the people you grew up watching. So,
You grew up watching,
you
right.
know, park to park, you know, at every park was good players. Even, you know, back in the day, just seeing, you know, Super Ed in the aura he had at Waterbury Park and walking in there and seeing him doing reverse dunks and then
And Fulton Park too.
Fulton Park, you know, not the new Fulton Park.
No,
the
old Fulton Park where they got
on
the
hill.
two rims.
Absolutely.
Where the two courts running
Absolutely.
side
You
by
hear
side.
stories about the Kelvin Glens, the Phil Lotts, the Parkers, and everybody that played basketball back then, you know, that made it, you know, such a great place to play at and be competitive.
Yes.
And that's all it was. It was all about being competitive, but little did we know, you know, iron sharpens iron. You're playing against one of the best players in the country, he's going to make you better. So at the time, it was more about rights and bragging, but at the end of the day, it's still making you better.
Right. And the thing is, too, a lot of times, you know, I had this conversation with a lot of people, like when we talk about AAU and the state of how the game is today.
Yes.
Like back in the day, excuse me, we wanted to be out.
Yes.
Like we wanted to be at the park. We wanted to play. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like we going to the courts, you know what I'm saying? You might be in a situation where you got to play up, and it's natural. You got to play up.
Yes.
Not, you know, a league. No, we at the court. All right, shorty. Like you got to play with the big kids.
Absolutely. When you played, the biggest thing was know your role, not make a mistake.
That's
Play
it.
Defense.
That's it.
Don't turn the ball over.
Don't
Pass the ball back
Yeah.
to the best player on the court, and learn that kind of.
And
way.
try to make any shot you take.
Yes, absolutely. And then if you did a couple good plays, then they'll pat you on the back, and then they ask you who you are, and if you know young enough to get there and develop, you get a name out there saying you're a good young developed player. So that kind of works out in the long term.
Right. And the thing is too, it's like I was saying, like nowadays, I talk to my brother sometimes. You know, we got to create those scenarios for our kids. Like, all right, we got to put them in leagues where they're playing up. Back then, you could just go to the park and end up playing up, but you're playing against great talent.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? You could be in middle school, but you're playing against the area's top high school players. You know what I'm saying? So you're naturally playing up just to be on the court.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Did you have any like early rivals with some of maybe your peers that was doing the same thing that you was doing?
Oh no, man! Like I don't know. When I was coming up, I don't know about everybody else, but I watched basketball. I'm a basketball fanatic. So when I was coming up, I was in middle school and go to a high school game. You see, Dimitri Heath, Ryan Gomes. You seeing Mike Wilson. You're seeing all these players from Hartford, like Hawk, Chuck, Beasterling. All these players that I played with at AAU. They're all in high school, and so at this moment, I'm looking at all these players and watching them and seeing like if I get a chance to just play. What school should I go to? Because back then that was the decision because that changes your whole foremost about how you're going to develop. Because some schools develop players, some schools don't. Some players go to certain schools because their friends go there, and or the district you live in.
The district, that was key back then.
Yes, back then was key. So now it's more so kids are put in certain places in certain positions. Now it's kind of easier, but back then it was just who's going to be the best team in the city? Is it Wilby? Is it Crosby? Is it Kennedy? Is it Karen Tech or whoever it was? And but when I was growing up, younger than me, it was Karen Tech was a big team with Rufus Freeman and everybody else. So when I was coming up, it turned a little bit to the public schools, and then it went back to Karen Tech. Around my freshman and sophomore year. So a lot of the schools built their reputation up by having good players and stuff like that. So coming up, it was just more so just learning the game and developing.
Learning the game. Now, what middle school you went to?
I went to Wallace. It was.
There we go, the Lions.
Yeah.
Wallace Lions, baby.
And the funny thing about it, I never played the game.
Get out of here.
No, I was always in trouble. I was bad, man. I had to learn. I had to learn the hard way. My uncle was very, on my case. He was my father figure in my life. So, if you didn't have grades, you didn't play basketball.
Yeah.
So I could have been the best player in middle school, but nobody knew because I never played in middle school.
You never played.
I played, park ball. And Waterbury we had the summer tournaments, like the Molly tournament. you know what I mean, Dewdrops a little bit later, Chris Loves. So
Yeah.
when I was younger, I played in them, but I didn't play organized basketball for, you know, middle school.
Wow. Okay. Well, and, you know, that's, you know, before we get to the high school, but the fact that you didn't play middle school ball and to see what your high school career, you know what I mean, turned out to be is like, wow, like, how do you know, it's almost like a diamond in the rough. Like, cause in middle school, some high school coaches get a glimpse of, all right, who's coming?
Yeah.
Who's coming up? Who's next? Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so AU helped me a lot with developing too as well.
Okay.
Playing with Wayne Simone and having great leaders to help me out. Like I said, Ryan Gomes, Randy Brooks, a lot of you know, William Saunders, Mike Stallings. So a lot of those players kind of put me under their wing and kind of helped me out. And then, you know, coaches like Jay Johnson, Tavares Campbell, they kind of, you know, helped me, molded me, and then, you know, put me in a position to be successful. So in middle school, you know, playing AAU basketball, and then, you know, learning the process of saying, hey, you know, if you ain't got grades, you can't play basketball. So that was something that I had to learn at an early age until late, you know. So a lot of players now think basketball first and education second because of how many leaps you can make. But, you know, when you're coming up younger, you had to hit every step and be successful. So, you know, I had to learn, like, you know, I couldn't play basketball or come outside because, hey, I didn't do my homework and I had bad grades. I'll be honest with you. I had to learn it, and then you know, it kind of grew me to, you know, taking school seriously, you know, getting your grades and talking to your teachers and understand that that's life. Like, you know, you got to put the work in.
What's that like? Like, okay, you go to Wallace and you know the only thing that's stopping you from playing is your grades. Like, skill wise, you probably like, okay, I can, you know, I can play. I could play on this team.
Yeah.
So what is that like, knowing you can play on that team?
It's the worst feeling.
Like, how do you adapt to that? Like, what's that feeling like?
It's like being Kyrie Irving and you can't play in the All-Star game. Like, you can't play.
Wow.
So you know you're the best player on that team, and you probably help your team win the city title, because back then city title was North End, West Side, and all that, and everybody's, you know, cheering for these players, and you're on the sideline watching because you can't play, because you could have played technically because, you know, by certain levels, but your own loved one saying you can't play because I see better than you and I wish you to do better. So that was hard to say, hey, you know, to your dad or to anybody in life that is a big influence, to say, you know what, I want to play. Well, you can't.
You can't.
Then you're sitting there like, well, the coach said I can play. You
Right.
know, my AAU coach, I'm playing AAU, I'm good. But then they're like, no, I'm not letting you play because you got to take your school seriously. Because when you're going to high school and then you want to go to college, you can't go because you ain't got no grades. Like that's disappointment. You know, so I had to take disappointment early. And after that, you know, I had success with school and taking it seriously and going to college and stuff like that. So it kind of helped me, you know, taking a big loss early to gain, you know, a mental state of what really needs to go on and what do you need to be at in life.
Okay. So now, without the middle school component, but you got the AAU as a foundation.
Yes.
Okay. How do you end up at Sacred Heart? Out of
Um,
all the schools in the city, how do you end up at Sacred Heart?
So I went with one of my best friends that played basketball, JC, James Menace, and we went to a tryout at Post. It was for Wayne Simone, select.
Okay.
And I played, but like I said at the time, nobody knew how old I was because I was playing up all the time. So I never had an age group. I just played basketball, whoever was good, and learned how to play basketball. So I played. He said, you know, I want you on my team. So I was like, all right, cool. So I played travel basketball, and I started, you know, hanging with a lot of players that play basketball now. So all these players that are really, really good in the city, that's going to certain schools, it's like, well, I think you could fit in that Sacred Heart, you know. And Willie White, great person that see me in South End Rec, hanging with Victor Cuevas, because he's really tight with my uncle that would never let me play basketball. That's my grades were right. That was a good friend saying, hey, you know, can you help my nephew? And he did. You know, he was always on my case, made sure, you know, I did what I had to do before I played basketball. Make sure, hey, you know, how's your grades? I want to see your grades. All right, now you can play. So with that being said, it kind of helped me out a lot. And then so when I was with a lot of those players, and Willie White had to be association with Sacred Heart, that was my, you know, hall pass to say, hey, you know, I feel comfortable with my decision going there because, you know, a lot of players that I played with on the AAU circuit played for Sacred Heart. And, you know, it was a better situation for me rather than being in a public school where, you know, I was probably young and a follower and I was an easy influence and getting in trouble and not doing what I'm supposed to do. So Sacred Heart kind of was a good, you know, space for me to grow and learn and develop.
So before I jump into like your whole high school career, I had the luxury of, it's a conversation I had with someone that coached you early on. And the conversation I had with them was a while back. I remember them saying, it was a while back. Mr. Fred Carter.
Ah, Pops.
Yeah. And he was like, man, Calvin, man, he had the talent, but man, he could be a loose cannon sometimes.
Yeah, I was definitely a hothead.
Yeah.
Definitely a hothead. Non-coachable, fiery. And with Fred, he kind of, groomed me and helped me out to take me to Hartford and play basketball and stuff like that. So our team was good, man. It was me, JC, Darius Stallings, James Hurdle, God rest his soul.
Yeah, James.
Andrew Parker. Yep. So, we had a stacked team going to Hartford and just playing. We only had 6 players.
6 players.
6 players in one car.
Yes.
Not no minivans.
Nah, a car.
Not no moms bring you to the game.
I was going in the side.
Yeah, it's like the good parents that we are now, and parents that trust certain people, picking you up after school and bringing you to Hartford and play. Not asking for money, not asking for anything. Just wants you to play basketball for their team. That's all. And we did that. And Fred Carter definitely coached me well. He sat me when I said something I wasn't supposed to, or got in trouble, or got technical.
Yeah.
And he kind of like, this is what you need to do. And over time, we grew a great relationship. To this day, I still see him. I appreciate Fred Carter, and he helped me a lot too in the midst of my middle school years of basketball.
Yeah. But people don't realize, like, people like Fred, and particularly Fred, like, he had his hands on, like, a lot of the players that came through the city. Like, even with Kaner, like, he would, scrimmage us, and, you know what I'm saying, do this, and, you know what I'm saying, like, he would do our video at the games back in the day, but he was hands-on with the training, the scrimmaging, and stuff like that in the summertime, running drills. And then, talking to him, you realize, like, he was coaching, like, certain Pro Street teams and AAU teams. So it's like Fred always had his hands in, like, youth sports, primarily basketball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the thing is, he knows what he's talking about. Like, he's going to tell you what you need to do to win.
Absolutely.
and he's going to tell you, like, look, all right, we got to run this score up. All right, listen, y'all 5, you get this up to 50, y'all get to come in.
Absolutely. But that's a perfect example of, what Waterbury had in place for young kids like myself and a lot of other, kids. Like, you had young adults that cared about the kids.
Right.
And never thought about the sport, thought about the kid.
About the kid.
They coached them, and they all worked. Everybody worked. Nobody had
Right.
a coaching job where they had their free time. No, they left work, picked up kids, helped coach, and devoted their time. And a lot of players that came through Waterbury at that time in that good space had a lot of great influences and always had a place to go to play basketball.
So now we get through the AAU, you know what I'm saying, Pro Street. Now we the introduction to Sacred Heart.
Yeah.
Now you come into a system that that has
stars.
You got Andrew Parker, you got Mike Stallings, Darius. Was Darius there?
No, we got Robert McClain.
Rob McClain, yes.
Raj was there. Rob Lucky.
Yeah.
We had a stacked roster, and it was a learning process. Because you go from being top dog in your AE team, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, to being a freshman. Hopefully, you're playing freshman. Hopefully, you're playing JV, and you're like, I want to sit on the bench for varsity because that's when everybody comes in the game. That's when everybody in the stands.
Right.
And coming into that situation, you're thinking, it's like AAU or middle school. I'm gonna play. Mm-hmm. And then you realize,
you might not play.
You might not play. You might be on that end of that bench looking up at coach every 2 minutes. trying to get eye contact. trying to get eye contact.
Let somebody have a turnover.
Like I'm ready, coach. But
he ran the play wrong.
Yeah, it was a learning process. I had good and great leaders at times where we came together. But like I said, the same people that I went to Sacred Heart I played with every day. So you had William Simons, Pooh, Mike, Drew, Raj, everybody. That's 5, 6 players on my AU team that I played with that played predominantly minutes for this team.
Okay.
And so, we developed together. it brings like a camaraderie.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm holding you accountable just as much as you're holding me accountable.
Right.
So our practices was harder than our games. And some players can contest to that because they were around at that time.
Okay.
You know, when we scrimmaged and played, people understand those scrimmages was worse than games.
Yes.
Like I remember, and they were on our schedule, Canada Tech. It was blood.
Yeah.
Like it was blood. Like
Yes.
we shook hands, we hugged, we talked. But once we get in them lines, yo, it was good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it was a lot of figure foul they didn't call probably.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we made them better for their league. They made us better.
Yeah.
When we scrimmaged Northwest Catholic, Weaver, whoever it was, they were good. We was just trying to build a name for ourselves. So coming in, I was just trying to contribute to the team. And then, you know, as I learned, I had to learn basketball over again. So it's like when to go, time, plays, who to pass to, how to pass it to,
Right.
when to shoot your shot without making everybody on your team mad. And that was hard because when you're a young kid, you don't understand that. You don't understand why this guy looking me off.
Yeah.
And then you talk to one of your, you know, your dad or whoever has a good hand on you, and you're like, yo, I was wide open a couple times. Well, he probably got mad at you because you looked him off a couple times, and that's why he looked you off. So now you gotta learn, how can I play with others and get them to follow me? So as a freshman, I was just learning. It was just a ball of everything, and it helped a lot because when I got in there, we played summer ball in Brandon.
Okay.
You know, thanks to Marco, he got arrested, so he passed away. He was our AU coach for our middle school team at the time. In high school with Roosevelt Lee and all those players that played in the Brent, that was really good.
Okay.
And he ran a great league, and we used to play in there. So, you know, we had summer basketball to play with each other. And we had fall ball with Wayne Simone's league and at Yale and at Chester Academy.
Okay.
So we had a lot of development. You know, a lot of teams don't develop because of AAU and don't have the time, but we did that then. So, you know, coming to the Sacred Heart with all those good players and great players, I just wanted to contribute and to learn off each player. Like I'm trying to learn from Mike Stallings because he can run the point well. I'm trying to learn from, you know, William Saunders because he has a great pull-up. I'm trying to be athletic like Andrew Parker because he's just a dominant player athletically by blocking shots and
windmilling it.
Oh my God! I remember one game I think my freshman year he had a quadruple double.
Quadruple double.
I think he had like 20-something points. He had like 10 steals, like 15 rebounds, and like 13 or 14 blocks.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
But when you see that as a freshman, it's like, dude, like how you gonna be on this court?
Yeah.
And then it's the worst part. It's the worst part. My first game was against Wilby. Wilby was good then. It was Dimitri Heath.
It was good then.
It was Cedric Hunter.
Yeah.
It was Ryan Gomes. It was Mike Smigowski. It was all them. Mark King was all them. It was stacked.
Stacked.
My freshman year, I was doing this the whole time.
Oh man.
First play of the game, I remember like yesterday. It was on the baseline near me on the visitor side. Ryan Gomes catches the ball in the wing, pump fakes. Because Ryan was a star. He was a stud. He developed a lot. He was, you know, in AAU, I think AAU really helped him a lot develop because, you know, as players that play basketball, you know, when you go against competition.
Right.
And you play against the best players in New York. You played against the best players in Florida. You go to nationals, and you average, and you players that had a name, you murdering. When you come home, it's like, yo, it's fun now.
Yeah.
Because listen,
you know what you could do.
If I beat the best player that's from Detroit that's going to Cincinnati or Duke, I'm playing against somebody that might maybe go to Central. I'm murdering him. So when I saw him on that court, and the first part I remember like yesterday, he pump fake, he jab step, fundamentals, threw the ball behind his back, between his legs, never moved. He never dribbled the ball. That's the funniest part. Never dribbled the ball. And hit a three. I was like, yeah, I ain't getting this game. It was a long game, that game. That first game was long, we lost by like 15. I was like, oh man, yeah.
I ain't getting in this
Because when you play basketball and you're on a good team, you're not used to losing. It's hard to explain a player and develop when you're losing.
That's facts.
When you winning, you can tell anybody anything they want to hear.
Yeah.
Because you're winning. But when you losing, it's rough to tell somebody to run some sprints, go hard in practice, die for loose balls, you get more time. Coach, we losing. We lost 15 last game. Ryan Gomes had 30 and 20. Said had like 20. Demit had like 25.
Yeah.
It was a triple-headed monster.
Yeah.
That's my first game. We ain't going to win the NBL. You know what I'm saying? Then we didn't even go up the Holy Cross yet.
Wow.
They developed. They got Big Mark connecting everybody else.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody had a stat roster.
And Holy Cross pretty much had a system.
Yeah, lacrosse had a system.
They had a system.
And this is the wild part. The most dangerous team was Torrington.
Ooh. Torrington?
Jay Reginado, yo, walking threes.
Wow.
They was the first team I seen not shoot layups, pull up for threes.
Coming down.
Swing three. Fast break, no V cuts, no 3-man weaves, straight threes.
Straight three.
And they were good. They were good. I think Seymour was good with Eric DeStasi and those guys. At that time, it was the NVL was really rough. So as a freshman, it was like, how do I fit? How do I get a name for myself? But let alone, you was just trying to win.
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of guys, they were just trying to win.
Now, would you say your freshman year you was able to control your temperament on the court?
Yes, more so because you don't want to embarrass your teammates and your family and your friends because they're all in the crowd. Okay. So at the end of the day, you took a lot in, but I think I got a lot of frustration out on freshman and JV because nobody's in the crowd, coach letting you play,
right?
And he let me go out there and do my thing.
It's your house at that point.
So freshman, you go in there and it's freshman. It's fun to you because you're playing JV. So you go in there getting 30, y'all win. Then you go to JV, you get 25, hopefully 30, and you win. Now you're like, damn, I done dropped 30. I done dropped 30.
Yeah.
I had 60 today. I can't even get 5 minutes on varsity.
You can't get 5 minutes.
You know what I'm saying? So at that moment, I'm like, all right, cool. I guess all I got is keep killing these guys until I get my time to shine. And then my freshman year, I slowly got it, learned, developed, and then we played a good year. We had a couple good up and downs, had some good games. Definitely in the Armory. If you never played in the Armory, you missed out. A lot of guys played in the Armory, and at that time and moment, but I was kind of happy and privileged to play in the Army in Waterbury. Yeah. And we had a couple of games in my freshman year. I think we lost like the second, third round to a good team in Trinity Catholic.
Trinity. Yes.
So they had Torrey Thomas, David McClure, and all those guys. So seeing basketball, you want to win. Everybody wants to win a state championship because that's the legacy. You win a ring.
Right.
And if you don't win a ring, you're unsuccessful. So I had to learn that as a freshman. And when I lost, it was it hurts as a freshman because it's your first really experience. And your season's over. Now what's next?
Right.
But then in your mind, I got next year. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So right. A lot of guys always, I got next year. As a freshman, I got next year. Those guys as seniors, y'all done. You know what I'm saying? So you're not looking at it that nature because there's no panic button yet. I got time. And every little kid thinks they always have time.
They always got time.
And then the senior year comes, and it's like, now.
And that comes like that.
Senior year comes fast. And then, like I said about the educational part, if you ain't got your grades in order and you ain't do your footwork, now you're going to suffer your senior year because you might lack opportunities because of what you did in the past.
Because of what you did in the past.
So I was very thankful that, I got, set straight as a young kid and took my lumps and grew.
So, okay, you get past your freshman year where you're playing freshman JV varsity. Mm-hmm. Some varsity. Yeah. Now, we all know, like everybody, like people who play varsity know those lights is bright.
Absolutely.
Every night.
Absolutely.
Varsity, those lights is bright in varsity. JV and freshman.
Nobody really.
It seems like they dim the lights in the gym.
If it's not in the paper, it don't count.
It don't count.
If it's not in the paper,
it don't count. You know what I'm saying?
Like you gotta ask that league in the field goal, how much of that had?
You looking at sport?
But don't do it on a loss. It looks bad sportsmanship.
Right.
You gotta do it when you win.
When you win.
I had light night. What did I have? And you gotta kind of like nonchalantly say it. I had 25. Oh, really? But really in your mind, I had 25.
I had 25.
Yeah,
I was killing him.
I was killing this kid, man. He was the best player of that team. I murdered him. So in your mind, you're jousting, but kind of trying to do it friendly without getting in trouble.
Yeah. So you go. So what's the off season like after your freshman year?
For my freshman year, it was
the off season.
Oh, it was a straight. Once the off season was over, it was back to AAU. Playing with Wayne Simone, Connecticut Select, traveling. Going every weekend, going somewhere and playing. And that kind of builds your confidence up because you're constantly playing basketball. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you're seeing great basketball players. Mm. Like, I think my 7th, 8th grade year, I think the best high school player I've ever seen was Lajuane Wagner. Ooh. You know what I'm saying? So I seen him, too. And this is the thing about it. Like, I seen him put up 50 and a half, 60 and a half. And I don't mean 60 like, nobody playing defense, 60 like, we played. No, I mean hard 60, found out 4 players. Funny part. Like, wow. I think we was watching Ryan Gomes was a junior, going to be a senior. Randy Bush is playing. Hawk, Ricardo Freeman from Weaver, really good. Mark Jones that went to NFA. He went to end up going to Duquesne. It was a lot like that. It was a stacked roster. And when I seen this guy from Camden, New Jersey, murder people, murder them. Like not even murder them. Like, you know, when you see him put up 100 on YouTube and you see the aura of Lajuane, when he was one of the dopest guards, and he was working out with pros, Allen Iverson. I remember going to the Rumble in the Bronx, one of the biggest tournaments at the time, going to Fordham and seeing him pull up with Fat Joe and Allen Iverson, and see him walk in.
Pull up with them.
See him walk in, get the jersey with the sneaker box. Now we know we're basketball players.
Yeah.
I have never walked into a gym with my
like
jersey and sneakers sitting there on the sideline because you're scared that if you come late, you're going to get in trouble. You're not going to play. So you get early. He had the juice to come in at. He came in at halftime. At half 50.
Well, he came in at
Halftime, grabbed his sneakers and clothes, got dressed during the halftime joint, went out there, had 50, threw the ball between his legs, and walked out with an aura, like a legend.
DeJuan Wagner was a beast, though.
Yes, like
he was special.
So seeing that was a big influence. You know, I think we played in Villanova. You seeing Mari Stoudemire in high school before he was stat, and he moved the rim like they got to stop the game to push the rim back because he was dunking it and moving it. And I'm like, you know what I'm saying? That's not something you see in Connecticut. Like, we had guards. We never had big men like that.
Right.
To see a 6'10" dude.
Especially like Waterbury, too. This is a guard.
Absolutely. And to see this guy moving rims, going to the other side of the rim, dunking it backwards, moving like some Nerf hoop. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. I'm going home to my brothers and telling them about every player I'm seeing. You know, all types of players. So it was a big thing. So like I said, so seeing that and then improving and then watching all these great players and then now you have your mark to leave your mark and then you're playing against all these guys all summer now. New guys is coming up trying to get a name for themselves from, you know, New York, Gauchos, you know, all them great teams. And I'm going hard. So I had a good freshman summer playing AU basketball.
What did you do in terms of training to prepare for the sophomore?
Now we're in a different era where you have a trainer, you got gym time. You know, you know you got open gym, you get some shots up, but we developed just playing open gym and basketball, going hard, coming with the sweaty face, and just playing hard and learning, you know, from your mistakes and getting better. So I didn't train as much as I would say that I would have developed like I did later in my career, but you know, early ages I was just playing basketball. Playing basketball. So then when I came back my freshman year, having a great year, my sophomore year, now I'm feeling some type of way because, you know, I'm developing like every other player is. So now I'm still coming off the bench. So now I'm at Sacred Heart with all these stars and I'm off the bench. So
who did you guys graduate from your freshman?
Nobody that didn't play. So we graduated, I think Mike Genova and Mike Abante. There was two seniors that we had. We only had two seniors. So the whole core of the team came back that played. So now, you know, you got Robert McClain starting. You got Rob Lucky starting. And then you got Andrew Parker starting. You got William Saunders starting. You got Mike Stalls as the point guard, the general. So now I'm behind all these guys. They're all seniors, juniors. So I'm like, so I'm coming in, you know, off the bench. You know, with my hair on fire. I'm coming in playing defense, getting steals. Everything's an opportunity.
Everything counts.
So then, you know, and I had a turmoil that year, and because I'm coming off the bench, but I'm leading the team in scoring game. So
you had a nice productive season.
Yeah, so I'm having a real productive season because I'm growing. But at the same time, I'm not looking at clips. I'm not looking at numbers. I'm just going out there and playing ball because all I want to do is play basketball. So at this moment, I'm playing, but I don't know the gist of numbers or the logistics. I'm just playing basketball.
Did you feel like there was a ceiling in terms of you were limited? Like, you're not starting, so you know when you get in, it's only for a certain minutes.
Yes. Yes.
You
So
felt
then
that.
I had a terrible moment. I remember playing up at Holy Cross, we're losing, and I'm mad. And I, you know, I'm honest about I think I yelled at the coach. I got mad, and I was trying to take my jersey off, and I was like, I'm not going to the locker room. I'm mad. I'm heated. And then, you know, they sit me back down, chill out, relax, you know, whatever. So then, you know, Coach Martin, you know, Dave Martin, you know, picked me from my house, talked to me, and had a conversation. And the reason why I felt that way because I'm like, we're all players. So you know your timing, like I said, you're restrained. So fourth quarter should be me since I'm coming off the bench. In my mind, So when 8 minutes in the quarter, starters come out 5 minutes, I should get this whole 5 minutes. I'm coming out in the 3.5 mark, sitting with the starters, like I had a full game.
Right.
But we had the same points, but I'm like, yo, coach, I'm not a starter. Why y'all sitting me? And then he, you can relax, blah, let the JV play. Well, but just because I'm not playing JV, technically I'm JV. So mind you, I'm a sophomore, not playing no freshman, not playing no
just
JV.
varsity.
I'm playing straight varsity, but I'm not playing the same minutes as the rest of the guys. Right. So I'm like, well, that's not fair to me. And then that's where the clash came, my sophomore year. So, it was a development process. And, after a while, I just took it in stride, like, you know what? I don't really care no more. I'm just going to go out there and get buckets. And then that's where I really didn't care at that moment. After that moment, and me and Dave had that a conversation with coach, and I think we had practice at Woodby High School. Matter of fact, we had practice at Woodby High School. He picked me up, and he had a nice long talk, and he sat me down, and I was just mad, like, I'm about to transfer. Like normal kids that's frustrated, don't understand things. And
I think every kid go through it too at some point.
Yeah, I had a moment, and thank God, they willed me in and had a good hold on me, and I listened and did what they asked me to do, and I developed. But at the time, I could have went off the rocker. I could have transferred schools like a lot of kids do, jump ship, and never developed. So
if you think about if you would have like moved with your emotion and transferred, how your trajectory would have probably.
Honestly, I don't know, because not every school has their best interest for the kids. So some kids might get labeled as a troublemaker or whatever, and now you're getting in trouble in school and you're missing games because you're getting suspended. Now it looks bad when the college coach comes to see you and you're not playing because you got suspended because you were joking around.
Right.
So I'm kind of happy that I did stay there and I developed and I grew and it matured me a lot. Just handling adversity and learning. Everybody's good when everything's hunky dory and everything's going your way.
When you met with adversity.
When you hit with adversity, now your true colors is really going to show. Are you going to be at practice on time? Are you going to push people? Are you going to die for that loose ball? Are you going to root for your teammate when y'all losing and winning? So, a lot of guys talk about it, but unless you see it as a coach or as a young player, you're not going to understand the message until later in that season. Like I said, everybody's great when you're winning, but when you're losing and trying to teach, that's the hard part. So we were winning and losing. We had a good year my sophomore year, but it was more of a great development year for me to help me in the future. But that was a big pivotal point in my high school career with my sophomore year.
And just kind of like looking back, there were some games where you were in there in some crucial moments and hit some big shots. In that sophomore year, like,
absolutely. I remember
key
one
threes and It's
but
like,
I had great leaders. That's what you understand. I remember one game we're down I kid you not, we're down 15 points at Wilby. This is after I think Cedric Hunter was still there. He was a senior. I was a sophomore. Ryan Gomes and Dimitri Eaton, those guys kind of left. They had a great stunt in the tournament, and we're playing. We're down 15. And I remember, we're all looking around the locker room. Everybody looking around the locker room when they hear that coach yelling and screaming, and you kind of like, all right, what we gonna do? We down 15, and I remember Mike Stahl was like, yo, Cal, run the point guard. I'm going to score. I said, okay. Came in, and I fed him. And I think we were down by like 10, 15, and then we just started, 6-point run, another 6-point run, 8-point run. And then we started, climbing. And then next thing you know, we were up by, 8 points, and that was a good learning point because sometimes, it might not be your night. Nobody cares about your night. Everybody cares about the win when you got a good team effort.
Right.
So that was a good experience because he could have stayed at the point guard, passed it around.
Yeah.
But he was a leader, so he wanted to lead us to victory. And, he passed a lot. So that game was a good game because he actually wanted to score. And everybody knows that playing if you're a pure point guard, you got to make everybody else happy. Mm-hmm. When everybody ain't happy, they might not play. They might not set the screen hard. They might not rebound. They might not swing that ball around.
Right.
So you got to make sure everybody's happy.
What was your primary position?
They're point guard, shooting guard, but more so just, defense and going to the basket.
For Mike to, number one, have confidence in you, that you can run the point and protect the ball and get me the ball. You know what I'm saying?
But that's the part of, like you said, our practices is the hardest part. Okay. I'm playing against one of the best players in the state. So he's making me better every day, nonchalantly. So when I'm going against him every day, he's playing the point guard. I'm learning from him, just muscle memory wise, running the plays, how to run it, how to pass it, timing him. Because now when I'm timing him, I know what gets off and what don't get off because that's the same play we got to run.
Okay.
So over time, I'm just learning and learning. So he had confidence in all of us because at the end of the day, you know, when you're playing with a team, you got to have confidence in your teammate, especially when you're playing bright lights on, you swing that ball. In your mind, he has to take care of business because you thinking that, you know, he could. So you swing that ball. If you don't got confidence in your teammate, then you're not going to have a good successful team.
Yeah.
Because, you know, players get overlooked, they get pouty, put their head down,
Yep.
bad body language as a coach, as a player, it doesn't look good.
So your team is kind of like the direct opposite of like one of the Sacred Heart teams back with Bays and Mike Sanders. Where you can make the case that the confidence that maybe let's say Mike probably had and some of his teammates probably wasn't what Mike had in your Mike Stallings had in you guys. And just looking at that team, like you guys are like super stacked, like the bench could probably start on other teams.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, to be that guy, to be the captain, to be, you know, the one that's, okay, you know what? All right, you're going to come in the second half, you're going to do the point. I got to get busy for a minute.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But it's easy, though. You know why it's easy? Because if the team knows that, you know, I have a good player, the great player coming off the bench, and he's not mad, he's out here playing, how can you complain when you're the 8th, 9th guy on the bench? You can't complain.
Right.
So it was easy for him to direct because it's like, listen, y'all fall in line and just win these games because that's what's more important. So as a captain, when everybody's playing hard, it's kind of easy because everybody's on the same format. So with Mike directing, you know, William Saunders being a good senior because we had 3 seniors, and Andrew Parker, you know, they all play AU basketball with all of us. So we kind of all knew what we can do. So we all seen each other play on high levels, playing against good teams and great teams. You know, seen us lose in tournaments, seen us win in tournaments. So you kind of know what you got in the locker room because, you know, I know, like, it's like, you know, in football when you play, I know when it's dogs with me. If I got a dog with me, we gonna make it work because we all gonna play with hard. We're gonna play with heart, and then we're gonna figure it out at the end of the night. But in this time, we're gonna play hard, and that's the hardest thing to teach is effort. If you got effort, you know, and a little bit of IQ level, you're gonna win a lot of games in high school basketball.
Yeah.
A lot of games. Athletic ability is good to a certain extent, but not every team got an athletic team, and we had an athletic team. So to have an athletic team, a team with IQ, the only hard part is just making sure everybody plays hard.
Right. That's true. That's true. So, boom, you get through your sophomore year. So now your sophomore year, you lose Andrew.
My sophomore year, going to my junior year.
Going to junior year,
We lose, I think it was a Matt Hurley, Jerome Robinson, I think BJ Rodriguez, Andrew Parker, you know, the main stars, Andrew Parker, William Saunders, and Mike Stallings.
Okay.
And so now,
who and Mike,
so this is the crazy part. And, you know, my sophomore year, we had a young freshman that was a good point guard, but he couldn't see varsity. It was John Lucky. So you got John Lucky
behind you.
That's one of the best players in the state as an 8th grader, and then the best player in the state as a freshman. So you got me as one of the best players as a sophomore, him as a freshman, one of the best point guards and young kids, and you got these seniors that's grooming us. All right, so these guys that's not these, you know, as you say, coddled stars are playing hard, and then you got these other people on the team that's, you know, the 6, 7, 8 person that might see time as JV. All right, we got them in now because all these players are really, really good, and you got to keep up with them, and we're making them better because we are good.
Right.
So now those players that you said could play anywhere on any team in the city, and they could have. I think Rob Jones was really good on our team. I think you know a couple of players that we had on our team, Kyle North was really good. So we had good players. So you know those players got better. You know with us working out and getting better. So that's the part of when you was like your sophomore year. All right, if I'm on these young kids use, you know, social media and stuff, but we didn't have social media. We had like one newspaper, a writer, hoop scoop, hoop, whatever it was. So if Joe Blow is the number one or two players in the state as in his age group, but he's not playing varsity or starting varsity.
Right.
It looks bad. Now it will look bad. Back then, it didn't.
It didn't.
It just was a team getting better. So I didn't know any better, but at the time, I'm like, yo, I'm going all across the state, country, everything, playing ball and playing against players. Now I'm starting my own high school team. That was motivation. Like how you not going to play on your own high school team, but you're playing against all these players everywhere. So that was more of a motivational thing.
Okay.
So that just turned me into a dog to just say, I'm going to go out there and just play. Lights out. If I have a good game, bad game, but you're going to know how I feel because I'm playing every night hard.
Every night hard. So now, would you say your junior year you got more of a green light to?
Yeah. It was more of a. It wasn't a green light to just shoot the ball and chuck it up.
No.
It was more so like, what can we do to win it? We won NVL. We lost in the States to Kobe Cathedral, to Northwest Cat. Now we played Kobe Cathedral. Lost to Trinity Catholic twice. It was like, we gotta win. Those guys that just left, that gave their heart and soul to the sake of heart, they didn't win it. But all right, it's our turn. So that was more our mental capacity was to win the states.
And you know what? It's you said it a couple times as we were talking. Did we feel?
Oh yeah.
You said it a couple times as we were talking. How much though? Because a lot of guys that sit in the seat, we talk about their offensive prowess, but how much did you take in your defense?
I mean, I love defense, man. Like I had a good defensive, ability because I'm long, I was tall, athletic, quick. So as a basketball player, it's like football. The only way you're gonna get easy play is if you get a steal or you're playing the passing lanes and you go coast to coast. So to me to play defense and shut you down and get the steal and go on the court and dunk it, then I'm showing a highlight. So you wanted a steal.
Right.
And I probably wanted too many steals, so I was always in foul trouble and reaching. But getting the steal and dunking it and all that was a part of the thing. So it was one of those things where it kind of worked out by playing great defense and helping my team. So blocking somebody's shot on the backboard, getting steals, that was something that was installed in me by playing with great influence like Jay Johnson and Devon Parker that kind of grew me to adult basketball life.
Okay.
Playing up with adults. So you playing in tournaments and you blocking somebody shot on the backboard and dunking on them. That was showing like some kind of like superiority to a lot of players that weren't as good as you. So you kind of poked your chest out. So defense was a big part.
Defense.
Absolutely, defense wins games.
Listen, we pay attention to the guys that scoring the points, but if you can't stop the opposition from scoring, it's a balanced game.
Absolutely.
And, I was talking to like one of my buddies that we go back and forth all the time.
Yeah.
And shout out Haran Raymond. He's actually one.
Oh, Haran Raymond. Oh man, I heard about him.
So me and him, we go back and forth.
He was good.
Just about every other day.
Crosby,
talking
right?
about stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. He played with Jay Johnson. Yeah.
So we go back and forth pretty much every day, every other day about basketball. We debate everything though.
Absolutely. Healthy conversations.
But one of the things we was talking about is, since and you can hear kind of like if you ever listen to like Gilbert Arenas, how he gives his take
He's a
on
great
basketball.
mind.
He is. And one of the things that Haran was like, listen, because his thing was defense too. He was kind of wiry.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Kind of like a big,
athletic,
wiry. And he was like, yo, his thing was defense. You know what I'm saying? If he can block your shot, steal your ball, and do all the other little things, you know what I'm saying? That was a good game for him.
Absolutely.
And he played like that, high energy.
Absolutely.
And it's like, if you're my assignment, if I stop you from scoring your 30, say you scored 22, but you've been getting 30 or better.
Absolutely.
You scored 22, but I scored 12. You still got the better of.
Absolutely.
But if you scored 22, but I can get 25.
Yeah.
Now I can shift.
But what did you just say though? My assignment. See, that's the thing. Nowadays, back in the day, if he's the best player on that team, you guarded the best player on the other team.
Yes.
It wasn't I'm guarding him because he's my size. No. If you're
That's
the
your
best player of
assignment.
that team and that person was the best player, he was all city, all whatever it is, NVL. I'm going at him and I'm locking him up to let him know who's a better player.
That's your assignment. Yeah.
And that's what it was. It was a rivalry thing.
Yes.
Just certain players, different. When I was coming up, I would never guard a Ryan Gomes or a Mark Konecki.
Right.
They're bigger, but
Yeah.
after if you're not a back to the basket big, you with everybody else with the rest. So back then you guard the point guard if you're the two guard. You know what I mean? You wanted that assignment. You said, Coach, I want to guard this player.
Let me get him.
Absolutely. I want to guard this player.
Let me get him.
The whole
Give me
game. The whole game. And we're going to talk about it after. So, because the same players that you see at that game, it's going to be the same players you're going to see in the summertime because they're good. They're going to play AU basketball.
Yes.
So, they're going to jump to you and talk about that game that they had. Everybody in the city going to talk about it.
Yes.
So, everybody that played basketball, that took it competitively, should have guarded that best player on that team and let them know, like, hey, I'm the best. I'm the better player. So, that's a chip on somebody's shoulder that if they can go both sides of that ball.
That's key. So now you figure, now this city has seen some great scores.
Absolutely.
Great, like bar none. You know what I'm saying? There are some though that take pride on the defensive side as much as they take pride on the offensive side. And what that entails though, your endurance got to be top notch because you're not stopping.
Yeah, but the wild thing about it though, back then, it wasn't a lockup player.
No, it's still get to the passing lane.
No, think about that though. It wasn't lockup players. It wasn't.
No.
He locked him up. It was like,
No.
he killed this person. You know what I'm saying? When I was young coming up, and you're older than me, when I see your stories about Jerome Malloy, it was like, he murdered whoever was in front of him. So if that person had 30 and you in that box with 10 or 15,
you got murdered.
Exactly. So you hear about the Phil Lotts and them players and watching.
They murdered.
I remember watching Marcus Robinson is one of my favorites.
He murdered people.
All heart, locking you up, playing defense, shooting shots.
He murdered
So
you.
a lot of players took pride into making sure we beat you. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. And I wish a lot of basketball get back to that, with this younger generation because of, certain players don't want to guard certain players, maybe because they friendly or friends or the coach don't tell me to do that because they want you to focus on offense rather than defense. And I can understand that. As a coach, you want certain players that maybe they might not have the endurance to do both sides of that ball. Maybe your teammate is a better defender. So I want you guarding him because he's on this certain area of the court and you run the offense and I want you to be over here. So that's the strategy.
Or some teams, also did like, you scrappy, we need him to score.
Yes.
So we need him on offense, but we need you to run around and follow him on defense.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Like the Knicks, the Patrick Ewing system.
Right.
Because you had Oakley and Mason.
Yes.
So, it depends on coaching. If good coach, the great. But, the good to great players will ask for the assignment. That's where you see the big difference of levels. Like when your player comes to that sideline to you and say, Coach, I want to guard him. Because they want to take pride in that because they want to shut that person down. So that's where I say that's when you want the challenge and you want to get better.
So now your junior season kind of like picks off. Well, your assignment wise in terms of your responsibility in the team increases. You know what I'm saying? And you're still relatively good with success on the team.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys are good. Like,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
we were like top 10 in the state the whole year because we had me was a top player in the state. John Lucky at the time was a top player in the state. We had Rob Lucky that was a top player in the state. So we had good pieces in our team that propelled us for success. And we were winning. I think we went 20 something and 0. We went undefeated that year in the conference. So it was a success. Little best at least because my sophomore year I remember we lost to Kennedy. Yep, I remember that one. We were tied with Holy Cross with 3 games left, and we were feeling ourselves a lot at the time. And
Cyrell?
No, I'll tell you in a second. So it was one of them years. So we just lose to Kennedy. We just lose to Holy Cross. So we're in a tie because we had 1 game up because we beat them at the Armory.
Okay.
And so we like, all right, as a team, all right, we're gonna regroup and play. And so we played, and we ended up going up to Holy Cross and losing. They were more prepared, harder players, and they played harder. And they beat us. Give them all the credit. And so, you know, you have to win out the rest of your season, then you get the tiebreaker game. Because, you know, that's for the title of the NBL. And then we go up to Kennedy, lackadaisical. I think a couple players didn't play that game, disciplinary reasons. Like I said, learning as a team. And we go up against Sammy Alvarado. Matt Hurdle, all them guys.
Yeah.
And
Sammy could shoot.
And we lost. We lost.
And Matt was getting busy.
Getting busy. Dunking.
And Matt was getting busy.
Dunking.
Yes.
Blocking shots. So we lost that game, and then we lost the NBL title. So that left a bad taste in my mouth as a sophomore. So I'm like, yo, we winning this NBL. I don't care what's going on.
Yeah.
Like we not losing.
Not losing.
And when we look at the forecast, it's like, yo, nobody should beat us because in hindsight, now looking back at it, you should never lose a high school game if you have two of the best players in the state. No matter what age group. If you got two of the best players in the state and you're developing them, you shouldn't lose, especially a high school basketball game.
Okay.
So we just went undefeated, ran through everybody. And then, you know, we had some turmoil in that team. We had a young kid that came in, Dwayne Clemens, that helped out a lot. And he was learning the game. He's one of the best freshmen at the time. And we had a team together, but, you know, we weren't ready for that next level because, you know, we lost to Trinity Catholic. I think it was in Hartford or something. We lost to them. And that was a better coach team and a good team. I think they had Dave McClure, and it's the first time we seen this guy. He ended up going to Duke.
Yeah.
We lost. Like I hope we lost. We got out coached. We lost. And it's one of those things where it's like, you know, what can you take from it? We watched film and then went back at it the next year. So
You think you guys are out-coached?
Yes, we got out coached. We were more. I think we was just as good as talented. We just wasn't prepared.
Okay.
You know, it's like, you know what I'm saying, you play football. It's like a team that
In basketball.
Yeah,
basketball is my thing.
You know what I'm saying? Basketball is your thing, but you know what it is to be out coached.
I do.
Are the team pressing? They already know you're gonna press. All right, we got a press breaker already involved. We got this guy in the corner. So when that guy get that ball in the middle, he got two options: go to the basket, or find that guy in the corner for an open three. You know what I'm saying? So we got out coached.
Wow.
They had the Trent Bowleys, and everybody.
Oh,
knows.
that's right. When I went to Southern,
And
we
Vermont.
seen them at
And
UNH.
Vermont.
Yes, them boys can shoot.
They
They're
had
small
snipers.
guys.
They had snipers.
But they can shoot.
They had
Some
snipers.
Bowleys.
They was prepared.
Yes.
So, you know, we were
I seen
aggressive.
them in college.
So my sophomore year, we lost to them. We were aggressive. They killed our press breaker. We lost. And then my junior year, we lost to them just off turnovers and bad mistakes. And as a team, you know, coaches don't watch the turnovers. They watch the score. You know, back then, they don't watch the team having 15 turnovers. You know?
Right.
You win. You won. You good. You're not looking at it like, you know, these
So the
15
little
turnovers.
things.
These 15 turnovers could change the format of the game if you're playing a good game.
And where do they come in?
And that's what happened at the Kennedy game. You had a bunch of turnovers, and everybody knows Kennedy with Tagley. They slow that ball up, play team basketball, and hold you accountable. So if you got 15 turnovers,
that'll be the run and gun team.
Yeah, you only get 50 possessions. Now you only got 35 because you turned the ball over. Now you got to be efficient. Your score is only in the 50s
You
and
get
60s.
a team that walk that ball up as opposed to a run and gun team.
So Sammy Alvarado worked us to death. We lost that game, and then we lost the NBL title. So, you know, learning that sophomore year to my junior year, we won defeated. Then we lost to Trinity Catholic was a big deal because it's like, can we get over this hump now? You know, and it was personal at that point because all the good players that I played AU basketball with won a state championship. My teammate won a state championship because they beat Trinity Catholic in the finals. You know, Chris Bruff, Mike Parker, all these guys, you know, won back-to-back state championships. So it's like, damn, I want to go to that promised land. I'm going to the Central because, you know, these guys in this generation has a nice Mohegan Sun where they can eat dinner and everything and have a nice time.
Yeah.
We had Central.
Right.
We had Central. That's it. There was
Britain.
no after parties, there was no dinners. We had just Central. So I remember going to Central and seeing Weaver play New Britain. And, you know, Roosevelt Lee was a good teammate. You know, Roosevelt was one of the greatest players that ever played high school basketball in Connecticut, too, as well. And he was dope. And I seen Charles Easterling, a.k.a. Beast, put up 30 and 20. And I see this guy. I'm seeing him in a month because we're going to go to Jersey together in a tournament. You know what I'm saying? So I'm seeing everybody around me win state championships, and I can't win. And I took that personally. You know, as a player, you take that personally.
Right.
So that was one of the things where it hurt. Every summer it hurt to go hang with your boys and kill this tournament, kill this tournament, kill this player.
They won that big chip.
Yeah, you can't win the championship.
And you got the pieces.
We got the pieces. We just didn't get it done. That's all it was. We just didn't get it done. And I took fault of that. Learning the game and developing. And like I said, it molded me later. But at the time, I didn't see it that way. I just saw like not pointing the finger, but all right, it's everybody else because I played good.
Yeah.
And that's the suckiest thing to tell a kid that played good. Y'all lost because it's your fault, and he had 30 points. He's not looking at it like, I didn't make a couple passes, I missed a couple free throws, I didn't find this person, I didn't play defense, I didn't direct my team the right way.
Right.
They're like, yo, I had 30, we had 70 points, I had half our points. Where the rest of the team at?
Mm-hmm.
I locked this person up, but they still won. And that's kind of hard to teach kids, at a young age because all they see is success because I had 30.
So, okay. In a situation like that, how long does it take you to process? Like if somebody say, we lost because of you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it's easy to say, well, we got here because of me.
Yeah.
Like it's easy to flip it around. Like, well, look, the game wouldn't even been close if I didn't get 30, if I ain't lock him down or we wouldn't even be in this game if I ain't hit that shot in the last game. How do you process it? Like, okay, wait a minute, what did I do in this game where if I made a couple adjustments or a couple things different that I could have changed the outcome of this game? How long does it take you to process that?
Honestly, you don't process it. Back then it's different. Back then,
At the time, no,
no,
because you pissed.
absolutely not. Because now with the technology and everything we have now, you can watch film immediately. Everything gets streamed. Back when I was in high school, you had to watch a game on channel 16.
Yeah.
16, 17.
Yeah.
And you ain't recorded.
No, because then you got to watch when it come on again.
Exactly. So and I think I watched a good video of Nick Saban after they lost the championship to Georgia.
Okay.
And they asked all these questions to players about how they lost. And then right at the end, he stops it. He says, listen, everybody talks about these two players. It was the quarterback, and I forgot what the other player was. And he said, y'all guys saying that these guys lost this game. But we wouldn't even be sitting here if it wasn't for these two players.
Right.
And that's a pat on the back to coaches that do praise their players even during losses and teach them that, and then hopefully they grow still. But at the time you're losing, you're not processing it like it's my fault or
and you're young.
Watching film. No, I didn't learn how to watch film until I got to college. Until coach sat me down. Coach Hudson, he coaches at Fresno State, at San Diego State. He sat me down and was like, yo, you gotta watch film. You gotta watch yourself on the court. You gotta watch how far you are from the defender. What can you do better? Where can you be more effective? And that's something you do when you grow. And that's something that a lot of high school kids have that room to do that now with the technology we have now.
Did you? I'm glad you kind of like segue into that because what I was going to get into is, well, all right. Before I jump there, how'd your senior season pan out?
Oh, it was the same way my junior year was. It was undefeated again because it was we had one minor, strong, hard game. I think we played against Crosby. And, at the time, we played in the Palace.
Who that Crosby squad? Your senior year.
My senior year, it was a young, hungry team. It was Toby Lewis, Eric Johnson, Thomas Banks. I think Terrence Johnson was out there. It was it was young kids. No, it was young kids. Drew Allen was a young kid on that team. Boonty, James Moore was a young kid on that team. So they had a lot of pieces, and they saw us as the kids on top of the hill as privilege, and they came at us that game. I remember.
Wow.
We went a hard. That was probably one of the them junior and senior years most difficult game we had in the city, really. And
the Crosby squad?
Yes, because they jumped on us, and we thought it was going to be an easy game up at Crosby. We were going to blow them out and go home, do your normal stuff like we did the past 2 years. And they were like, nah, y'all got to earn this. And and it was a sold out game. I remember it was a sold out game. It was intense from the tip to the end.
Because they're behind you, right?
Yeah.
So that was kind of like the beginning of.
So Toby, Eric Johnson, all those guys that I went, like you said, that middle school speech.
Yeah.
All the guys that I went to middle school with to 8th grade. Now we're all seniors together.
Okay.
And they're looking at me like, oh, you left us.
Because you would have been on that squad.
You left us.
Like if you would have.
Yeah, you left us. You left us. You went to
right.
You went to the Catholic school. You left us in the city.
Yeah.
Nah, you ain't one of us. I'm like, all right, cool. So we played. That was a strong game. We won that. But like the players you said that could play on other teams, Rob Jones, he played clutch. I think he had like 4 free throws in a row. Crowd going crazy. 3 seconds on the clock. and that's rough. Like players talk that, oh, I'll make free throws, I'm clutch. No, you're not.
Right.
A lot of players is not clutch. We know a lot of players that missed a couple free throws in time. We know pros that missed it. We could look back, when I was young. Remember that epitome you want to be Nick Anderson?
Nick Anderson. That's still. I just had that conversation today.
Exactly. So
Nick Anderson's never the same after
so
that.
you can pay, but I'm saying at the time it's free. You in the gym, and that pressure's on. That means a lot. So we won that game. I think 4 free throws at the end, back to back. A couple little defense, and that was the first team that really pressed us and trapped us. That was the first team that ever in our conference pressed us and trapped us. That made us think and do an actual strategy. So that next game when we played them and Sacred Heart, we were prepared because we knew they were going to press now.
Yeah, I knew.
So it wasn't as close, but we won that game. But that senior year, then we ended up going to state tournament again, and then we walked through the first team, walked through the second team, and then we played against Kobe Cathedral. I remember that game like yesterday. We played, and it was a close game, and we lost by terrible call, but as I got older. I'm saying, coach tell you don't lose the game in the last 2 minutes. You lost at the first 38. And it's hard to understand that because you're saying that, oh, we lost it because the ref called a bad call or this person missed a wide open shot, so we lost. No, the game wouldn't have been that close if you played hard for the first 37 minutes.
That's
so
true.
So with that being said, I had to learn that. I had to take that L. Like we didn't play good that whole game. We're all in foul trouble. We made mistakes, turnovers, bad shots. So when we lost that game, at the time it hurt because my senior year is over. I can't get that. I can't get them years back. Every year I wanted to get a championship, I didn't get it.
Right.
I saw everybody else celebrate. Everybody else celebrated, and so it was one of those things where it was like.
And the crazy thing is too, because you're kind of like on one of the most successful Sacred Heart squads.
Yes.
Like if you think about your career at Sacred Heart, you didn't really lose much.
Yeah.
Like even when you come in, you was behind some great players.
Like,
And as you coming in, you're a great player. You got some great ones behind you.
absolutely.
So you was like your whole career at Sacred Heart. You had great talent around you.
Yeah, and like I said, it was crazy because, my 4 years, I probably lost less than 10 games.
Less than 10 games your whole 4 years.
That's hard. That's hard.
The average team lose about 10 a year.
Exactly. So my junior and senior year, I only lost 1 game a year.
Wow.
So I remember we had a little record of winning a bunch of games, and I think after I left, with John Lucky and Kyle Northley, had that little torch, and I think we won like 50 something games in a row. But Crosby group eclipsed that. They ran through that little record.
But that's what I was saying in the beginning. Like y'all caught them,
Yeah.
Drew Allen them as they was getting ready to start.
Yeah, and I seen them kids grow up. So like seeing
You
them
caught
like,
them as
oh,
they was
he's
about to
good.
start.
Yeah. And then I think I went off to prep school that following year, and then I went off to UTEP for college, and I came home. I remember coming home, and these guys are seniors now. I guess they lost their junior year. Matter of fact, I came home their junior year. They lost in the state championship to Trinity Catholic.
Trinity.
Yeah, by the buzzer beater.
The buzzer beater.
In Central. And I came home to watch that game, and I think I met Ryan because Ryan just lost in the NCAA tournament, and he flew out, and that next day we watched that game, and I watched it. I'm like, these young kids about to win it. And they had the whole game. It was up the whole game. They lost because somebody didn't box out the last 5 seconds.
Last 5 seconds.
Yes. And like the same goes. You don't lose the game in the last 5 seconds. You lost it before that. But the opportunity was a disciplined team. If somebody went out on the court and boxed that guy out, they done won 2 back-to-back championships. They lost that game, and that probably was a gut-wrenching feeling to that young boys that built what they built and did what they did and built the legacy they built. And they're like, we let that go because of a small decality. Like
Right.
and I saw it, and I felt bad for those guys. And the CT Trinity Catholic, that's from the other side that beat me. I was mad because I wanted it more for Waterbury than I did want it for anything else reason. So. Seeing that, I felt bad for those guys, and they came back and they won it. They did it in a great fashion.
Yes, they did.
They did. That was a good Crosby team with Damian Saunders and all them.
Oh yeah.
I loved watching those guys and seeing that evolution.
That was like a Showtime team too. Like,
absolutely. So,
that was like
so,
a
so
Showtime.
seeing our team with me, Andrew, and Mike, and Pooh, William Saunders, and everybody, and then seeing that team, it was kind of like a fresh breath of air because they took us and probably saw us and grew up watching us as young kids.
And then they took what they learned from y'all and ran with it.
And that's the evolution of basketball. You know, everything that happened in the past, somebody's gonna be, you know, bigger and better and take what you did and grow from it. So you gotta appreciate the now and the future. So that's a good thing to see and have.
So you finish off your senior year, you get that L in the States.
Yeah.
Right?
Bunch of
but nonetheless, there's some Sacred Heart squads, I ain't gonna mention them, that didn't make it to the States.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, not to take away from the excitement, because there's some players that played for Sacred Heart that was just must see.
Yeah. I
You know
remember
what I'm
seeing Miz, aka Mike Sanders, and
He
it
was
must see, but that
must see, like,
but
you know what I'm saying?
But that team wasn't that good, and to counter that, the NBL was good.
Yes.
So that's the counterpart. You're saying that team wasn't good, but we're not looking at the counter fact that the NBL was good. Like Crosby was good, Wilby was good, Kennedy was good, Holy Cross.
Everybody was good.
Yeah, like, you know, Holy Cross had, you know, Miller and Saunders.
Yeah,
you know?
and Miller, Saunders,
Hero Miller and Saunders.
D. Gray. Before that, T. Davis.
Yes, they had
You know
players,
what I'm
so a plethora of players. So every year might not be a year, but you know, at the time when they didn't make it, a lot of other teams did, and they were really, really good.
And it was more than just one team that was really good. So you figure if you got 6 teams or even 5 teams that's really good, and you know, you got to take what you got through like graduation and people coming through. You know what I'm saying?
New development players, everything.
Yes, you know what I'm saying? You got to make the most of it, but it kind of like over time, Sacred Heart became, because, you know, you can make the case that with the start of Mike, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, Mike was must see, even though they had a losing record, but he still drew people to the game.
Absolutely.
Like, because Mike gonna do something.
Yeah, absolutely. He was Showtime.
You know what I mean? They might lose, but he's gonna walk away talking about, yo, you see what Mike did at the, you see how many threes Mike hit, or you know what I'm saying? So, and then you got the younger kids coming up. I want to go to Sacred. Still, I want to go to Sacred Heart.
Yeah, but I think, that Sacred Heart legacy started with the Daryl Parkers, the
Calvin. Yes, Calvin. You know what I'm saying? That started way back then. You know, because even back then they was winning a little bit.
Exactly. So
it was winning.
With that being said, you had the best players in the city going to that team. You get what I'm saying? So you had those inner city players that, you know, that got picked up to play for Catholic schools where it was a better situation.
Yeah.
Not to say it like that, but it is.
Well, you look at it like this too. You know what I'm saying? There was a stigma, and I don't want to say the stigma, but it was looked upon as if you went to like the Catholic schools, you was gonna go to college.
Yeah.
It was, you know what I mean? Not saying you were, but it was looked upon like, okay, you're gonna go to college, you're gonna at least get an education down the road, or even while you're there.
Absolutely. Because it looks better because educational reason wise.
Right.
I'm not trying to say, you know, Waterbury public school education is not as good, but at the end of the day, when you're paying for education, it's going to be taught differently. It's like paying for college. You know, you send your kids to, not to say it like that, like Naugatuck Valley, you know, it's not a bad college, but you're paying for it, but you're not highly regarded as one of the elite schools. Now, if you're paying for your kid to go to Central or UConn, you're going to be on your case to be worried about it. So for you to get a scholarship, you got an opportunity.
Right.
So now you're not sitting in the classroom with people that don't care because it's the tax-paying money.
Exactly.
So it's a different feel to your purpose. It's like if you have a son, anybody have a son, and they go to, you know, Taft or St. Thomas More or one of them schools, they pick you for a reason. You got an opportunity a lot of kids don't get. So
that's right.
So cherish it.
When you went to junior college, was your mindset to, all right, let me make sure I keep like my grades and everything how they need to be?
Honestly, I was scared of my mother. so when that coach said, I'm gonna call your mother, or all right, I'm gonna get it done. So more so, you know, after that previous, you know, middle school, and they always kept on top of my grades. I always made sure, you know, honors, dean's list, etc. in prep school and junior college honor roll, and then, you know, carried over. So, you know, it kind of instilled in me to be academically successful. So, you know, everybody talks about the basketball accolades, but to be a, you know, academic All-American and stuff like that, I'm kind of, you know, happy that I was. And you know, my son could even see the trophies or the little papers and say, hey, you know, I did basketball, but I made sure I did that part to make it.
And you know what, and a lot of times that gets lost. You know what I'm saying? Because we see the the accolades from the sports standpoint. But you know what I'm saying, we forget about some of the work that we got to put in the classroom too. You know what I'm saying, and whatever level, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, boxing. You know what I'm saying, a lot of different sports. The higher you go up, the more you got to really be smart to read playbooks and study film and know what this person's weakness is. But it's all studying.
Yeah.
And all is and the reason why I say like the classroom, because we got to learn how to process things in the classroom.
Absolutely. And when it comes down to it, when I went to, I think I was in ABCD camp, the All-American camp, they break it down to you. Only less than 10% make it. 10% makes it. Less than 10% makes it. In college, think about that. How many colleges is in NCAA basketball? We all bet on it.
Mm-hmm.
How many games is there? How many players really make it? So for you to experience that and be around it, you gotta understand the numbers are against you.
Against you.
So why not? And like I said, why not get a free education and go to college, and then be successful after that? Basketball might not be for you, but at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, at least you have your education, and that was key.
You got that piece of paper.
Absolutely.
And that's another thing too is, again, you know what I'm saying, me and Haran, we been going back and forth, debating everything, but one of the things that's key is like, yo, you go to school, as long as you got that piece of paper,
You can't take it away from you.
you made it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Think about your backgrounds, you know what I'm saying? Like, we grew up on the hill, like, you know what I mean? So it's like you grew up on the hill, but then at the end of the day, you got that piece of paper.
Absolutely. The best big men of all time is certified geniuses. But Kareem got what?
Kareem.
Doctors.
Yes.
Shaq got
a
masters.
yep.
Yeah.
Cop, whatever.
Yeah.
Who knows if they really was in class? But in general,
Yeah.
at least the accolades that they can hang their hat on. So like I say, education is key, and not everybody make it. The numbers are against you, and the so-called successful people that do make it, that's a blessing. But everybody else that could get that free ride, and you're successful, and they don't understand that you're successful. You made it. You got a free ride where your parents don't have to pay for you.
Yes.
And that's essential.
That's making it.
Yes. And
like you said, because you said less than 10% make it.
Mhm.
Less than 10% make it. But think about, let's take Waterbury, because this is where we at.
Absolutely.
We're in Waterbury,
Mhm.
where the odds is kind of stacked against us.
Mhm.
But you get an athlete that, ride the boat off their physical abilities in the beginning.
Mhm.
Do the work in the classroom.
Mhm.
But obviously the classroom and the work on the whatever sport they play gets them a scholarship on the collegiate level.
Absolutely.
If you can transition that to a degree, you made it.
Absolutely.
Now anything else after that is a bonus.
You're right.
You know what I'm saying? If you can get that piece of paper, like we said, if you get that piece of paper,
Mhm.
you ain't gotta pay nothing back, but you got that free education on them. You know what I'm saying? Anything else after that, that's a bonus. But you made it based on what we,
Yeah. But that's hard to accept for young kids to just say that you made it. And a lot of the dynamics changed in the inner city of Waterbury, where the young kids that were successful or were good, that were had potential. The older people, the old heads, the coaches and stuff kept them away from danger. And you had the person in your neighborhood or influence that pointed you in the right direction and kept you away from trouble. Now,
Right.
A lot of kids don't have that no more.
Okay.
It's more of a committee situation now.
Yeah.
Because my friends are doing it, I'm doing it.
Right.
Rather than your friends
Right.
telling you, yo, you're not supposed to be here, get away from here.
Mm.
So a lot of kids don't make it because of the influences change. And
True.
and I wish that will be back to where it used to be, where people pushed you in the right direction and made sure you made it. Like watching that kid from Coney Island. Starbury wouldn't have been Starbury if his neighborhood didn't push him to the right direction.
True.
So I'll say, I think we need more of those stories than the other ones where kids get pulled into a bad situation
Right.
and get a bad rap sheet because they was hanging with their friends.
And then they end up being, they could have been.
Yeah, it's a lot of could have been. It's a lot of players that like legends that should have made it but the situation didn't work out right. Like I know for a fact I had a teammate playing in the league, Bobby Moore. Bobby Moore's one of the best players I've ever seen.
Yes.
And he didn't make it because of whatever reasons, but at the end of the day, he was a pro.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Evan Saunders was he was a pro overseas, but he was an NBA type player.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of players that could have been and that didn't make it, you know, for whatever reason, but you know, they should have been there. And I think there's so many gems in Waterbury that can make it and can be that player. You just gotta point them in the right direction, you know, accept criticism, and parents, you know, be parent, not friends.
Right. Be parents, you know what I'm saying? And you know, kind of like, you know, as we kind of like chew on towards the end of it.
Yeah.
What would be some of your greatest moments in college?
Oh man, I had
if you name,
I had a great experience in a lot of years. I'll say my best experience was, you know, at San Diego State and being part of a young team and being a lone senior with you know Malcolm Thomas, Billy White, Kawhi Leonard, and all those guys. And
you was on the Kawhi? Kawhi was on your.
Yeah, he was on my team, and seeing those guys develop and see the work ethic and see them playing at a young age and then watching them grow was a great experience. And you know, I kind of, you know, had a good influence and, you know, helped them out where, you know, prepared them to, you know, a great team. And that was a good success to see. You know, we took a bunch of lumps, we took a bunch of bruises, because I remember my first year, you know, when I got sick with cancer, we was a good team at San Diego State, but, you know, my good two-guard Kyle Spain got, you know, dismissed from school for some odd reason, and I mean, Lorenzo Wade got hurt. So we were supposed to be successful at San Diego State, and seeing us not, you know, meet the top lane to where we were supposed to be at, and then with those guys, seeing those grow and then, you know, go out on a high note and win the conference championship and go in the ring and stuff like that. So that was a big deal with that. And I say that was a high point, I'll say, because we wasn't supposed to win that tournament.
Right,
we wasn't supposed to be in the NCAA tournament. And then see, like, you know, it was that camaraderie of, you know, everybody's next man up, everybody wants to win. You might not be your night, but it might be his night. Yeah. You know, and see those guys develop and play, and then, you know, the very next year going to the NCAA tournament, and then I think they went to Elite 8 that year, or Elite 8 that year. Yeah. It was a great feeling to see those guys develop and being, I mean, communicate with them to this day and still talk to those guys. So it was more of a brotherhood and a family. Yeah. And, you know, and being part of the San Diego State, you know, alumni is wonderful. And
you know, you got something that you can, you know, I don't know if anybody in Waterbury can say that they played with Kawhi Leonard, the NBA champ.
Yeah, always thought
you know, all-star in the NBA champ, you know, Kawhi Leonard, you know.
LeBron. Those NBA fans. But you know, honestly, you know, being my freshman year and then touching success. My freshman year, I won a conference championship in Texas. I won a conference championship. Being in, and you know, my second, we won it again. And then I go to junior college. We win our joint, go to the nationals, losing the finals. So every year I tasted success. So it was one of them things where, you know, nothing else is unacceptable. So seeing that always propelled me to win. Like, I wanted to win more than my own individual stats at the end of the day. So I'm a very competitor, but I always want to win.
You always want to win.
And that's the biggest part. So getting, you know, a lot of support and leaders and good people in my life that helped me, you know, it kind of made it easier to focus on that when you don't got to worry about the small stuff.
Right. Wow. So, I mean, it's been, you know, we spoke for a while. We covered a lot of ground, man. What would you, you know, just, you know, thinking back to your career, some of the people that you got the chance to see ahead of you, some, you know, in your same age bracket, some behind you. But if you can just kind of like say something to like the younger generation that's way back, what is, you know, one thing that you could tell, like what's a gem that you can give them that can probably propel them to the next level, or even just, it only got to be to the next level on the basketball court, just it could be the next level of life, but what could you tell them that could propel them to the next phase of where they're headed?
Just keep at it. Listen to the people that, you know, in your life that help you. You know, respect is a big thing, and just growing as a player and a person, and listen to your influences. Taking school seriously. Yes. And then going from there. I'll say, you know, listen to people. You know, be a sponge. you know, if you see, you know, in this different generation is a little different. But when I was younger, I actually saw the players that I actually heard about.
Okay.
You know, some players might hear about them but never see them.
Yeah.
And so, you know, the certain younger generation where I appreciate that I watched, you know, as a you know, a person like, you know, Mustafa Herons, you know, Mike Mallory's, you know, the Taquan Zimmermans, you know, everybody that was kind of successful after basketball, you know, in a younger age, you know, even, you know, Julian Allen, you know, that Carl Butte team, Damian Saunders, you know, all those plethora of younger guys that came after me, Josh Turner, all those guys. Just listen to it ear. Just ask questions to those guys, and then, you know, dig deeper. You know, you might see Mike Sanders, you know, somewhere out. You know, ask them questions. You know, ask them, you know, what did you do to be better? What can I help? You know, and then, you know, and now in technology, you can show them film. You can send it to them, ask them questions. So I'll say, you know, just reach out and just keep growing, but always, you know, take care of home, take care of your grades, you know, take care of your image, because the first thing they ask when you go somewhere is, you know, a coach is, how is he as a player? But after that, how is his grades? How is he as a person? Like when I got recruited, nobody ever cared about me basketball wise. They asked everybody else, how is he as a person?
Wow.
Because when you come down to it, that's a business standpoint. If you're doing business with somebody, you're not doing business with them for what they do, because obviously you heard them about their resume. You're worrying about it as a person. You know, are they legitimate? Are they honest? You know, are they going to do what they ask, and are they going to work hard?
Would you say the higher you go up, we can make the case that on like a lower level, you could be a head case, but somebody's still going to take you because he's going to win the game.
But at that point, you have to be highly successful. You have to be a dime. You have to be a LeBron, a Trae Young. You got to be everything else in between. So those come rarely. So for that being said, you know, you got to understand those guys who are the Kyries, they're very unique. There's more Lenny Cook stories and DeJuan Wagner stories than they are those stories. So you got to understand, like, you ain't the first rodeo, you ain't going to be the last rodeo.
Right.
You know,
right.
Every high school has successful players in and out. There's a lot of numbers on that board. You see them boards, 1,000-point scorers. Stuff. Everybody had their time.
Everybody had their time.
It's about you giving back after that moment, and who can you talk to help you. So I say, you know, worry about the small stuff, and then the bigger picture will come easy.
Hey, listen, you guys at home watching, worry about the small stuff, and the bigger picture come easy. Ain't no better way to end it on that. You know what I mean? Again, man, you know, I like to thank you for
appreciate you
for joining in with us. You know what I'm saying? It was a pleasure. And, you know, every time we have somebody that's sitting in this seat, man, I tell my audience and my viewers that this is a history, you know, this is a history lesson. You know what I'm saying? You know, we got the younger people that may not have been born when you played, but, you know what I'm saying, now they can go back, oh, okay, let me see, you know what I'm saying, with Kelvin Davis, oh, shoot, he did this, oh, he went here, he did this. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's letting them know that, yo, we right here, we right in this town. You know what I'm saying? These are living legends in this town. You know what I'm saying? Some of us went far, some of us didn't go so far, but when they counted, you know what I'm saying, a lot of us did what we need to do, and it mattered then. You know what I'm saying? We did what we need to do when it counted. You know what I'm saying? You one of those individuals that got busy when it counted. And I'd like to thank you for, you know, making your stamp on this city. You know what I'm saying? And
Appreciate it.
you're a living legend. And with that being said, I'd like to present you with, you know,
the shirt. Oh man, you the
know,
best ever. You know what?
as those that come through the city and sit in that chair, man. You get that, man.
Oh, see, it's soft. It's soft. It's good. It's that good material. This ain't that, you know, that terrible stuff. It's that good material, man. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Thank you. You know, I need all the Canada Tech people in the room to sign this, right? Nah, I'm joking. I appreciate it.
Man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Once again, man, it was a pleasure, man. Thank you for all you've done. So for everybody that's joining in, y'all seen this episode, you know, you can reach me at LeMan Wash on Facebook, LeMan Wash on IG. For the Fam Entertainment, some of our videos, all these videos will be uploaded on For the Fam Entertainment. That's 4, number 4, the Fam DA Entertainment. So look on that on YouTube. Mr. Davis?
Facebook, you can reach me on my name, Kelvin Davis, Kelvin Davis, Davis, and Instagram, Kelvin Davis, KELLEN_Davis. Very easy to respond. All you gotta do is message me, and I'll help you out.
All right. So without that being said, you guys have a good night. See you in the next one. All right.
Hey, you gotta wear your hat face forward this time.